I'm talking with Jenni Hammonds. She is our wonderful manager of the Sustainable Backyards Trails and now evolving into adding the Sustainable Builds and Trails. Kia ora, Jenni, welcome.
Thank you. So it starts off with the Backyards Trail, where we have individuals who open up their backyards, community gardens and schools, and the public come through sort of inspired with different techniques and different types of plants and how they might take that back into their own properties. There's a lot of medicinal plants as well coming through, which is quite cool. The Backyards Trail has always included farms and larger properties, and it's always had elements of builds, I guess, like people with cool gardens often have put things through their homes. So this year we've pulled out those two elements and we're piloting two new trails, Sustainable Builds Trail and the Sustainable Farms Trail. We have a hemp home, we have a home made of rammed earth, we have a fully certified passive home. We brought in some of the specialists, so we'll have Jeff Fairweather, who builds the Firewall rammed earth homes. He'll be there to answer questions and talk a little bit to it. The Green School is one of our properties. We've got BTW and Boone speaking to the architecture and then also the land use. So we're bringing those experts as well. The farmers themselves will give a lot of the presentations and the talks and the tours because they know their properties really well.
I just want to jump back a little bit to passive homes. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that sort of is all about? Just a kind of
no expert, but it's around that the elements in the home make it so it's a comfortable temperature to live without needing sort of external heating and cooling. Mm-hmm. And they'll do it through ventilation. It might be ventilation, it might be different types of insulation. A lot to do initially with positioning on the landscape, so you've got an aspect that catches the sun but not too much sun. Mm-hmm. So it's passively keeping your house at a good temperature to live.
Can you explain a little bit more about the Sustainable Farms Trail and what visitors can expect from that?
Farms Trail, like the Builds Trail, is kind of like events based. So unlike the Backyards Trail where people have open hours and the hosts are constantly running tours, the farms and the builds are a little bit different. We'll have a set time and a kind of like a topic that they'll talk to. Mm-hmm. So with the Farms Trail, we have commercial growers and farmers from a range of different industries. Working farms in beef and dairy, commercial growers, an orchard and herb farms. So we've got the net zero dairy, but we also have diversification of dairy farms and how that can work in sediment and nutrient management. We're confirming a few more of those topics as they come through, and then we'll release those out. Most of them of the Builds Trail are for the general public, particularly if you want to build in the future or if you're just nosy, which is
like me.
Yeah, just nosy. All of our things from backyards, builds and farms is not about people necessarily doing it perfectly, because it's kind of an elusive and impossible goal.
Yeah,
it's around different properties and different people on different stages of that journey. We have the garden festival, we have the arts trail, the fringe and the backyards. So we decided to put the farms and the builds trail the following week, just so it's not compounding on people's busy schedules. It is 10 years of Sustainable Backyards, so it's a real milestone to hit that decade mark for a community run event. Also the 10 years for Crop Swap Aotearoa. Now if you don't know about Crop Swap, you should jump on their website and find out about what it is, but it's a really nice fit with the backyard for people who grow. Essentially, there'll come a time of the year where you've just got an excess of a particular fruit or vegetable. Crop swaps are where you can take that excess, put it on the table for anyone to take, and then you can pick up stuff that you don't have. So we're going to celebrate that with an event at Pukeariki on, I think it's the first Sunday morning, the 3rd of November. Hear a little bit about Crop Swap and the Backyards Trail, be prizes to pick up. Our hosts have the option to run koha-based workshops, and a lot of them take that up, like how to set up a food forest, or growing your own plant medicine, creating no-dig garden beds, or a whole bunch of different ways to make compost. Could be 20 minutes, an hour, where you can come along and pick up all these tips just for a couple of gold coins. We have Jane from Seed Savers will be running a workshop on how to harvest seeds from your garden and then store them so you can use them next year. Workshop on building garden beds from pallet wood. So it gives you how to make use of this free resource that is lying around the streets of New Plymouth. Mika, who is our resident garden guru, and she'll be doing workshops on composting. 4 schools as well who are opening up, and we've got kids who are running a workshop on making pesto from your garden greens. Heaps going on, and we'll have a really cool events schedule to make it easy to know what's on what day. And the hosts have a real breadth of elements and features at their homes. What we'll try and do is put out there on our comms around if you are looking at DIY elements, climbing frames or greenhouses or garden beds, you can check out these hosts. So we're going to sort of break it down into some of these areas. Some of our hosts have some really interesting challenges: strong winds, steep sections, minimal space or minimal sun, and talk to people who have experienced it and see what they're growing. It's
definitely in the last 2 categories.
An e-bike tour in the urban New Plymouth. You tour the properties. You get to see some of the bike paths and shortcuts around the city. And I worked in bike skills on each of them.
My number 1 tip is always just use the back brake. Don't touch the front one.
A couple of new tours this year as well. So we've got some bus tours, but in particular we have an affordable bus tour based out of Hawera, which we haven't done before. We wanted to get away from being all of the South Taranaki properties, and each host is running a private workshop for that bus tour that has been supported by the South Taranaki District Council. An EV tour. So this is a self-drive tour where we have different car dealerships who are sponsors of the trail, and they have essentially given us their electric vehicles, and then you can go around and drive around the region, not have to worry about gas. I think it's going to come with a free lunch from Wild Pear.
Oh.
And you can sort of tour yourself around the region with recommended routes. So WITT is come on board, and they are providing their a vegetarian or plant-based cooking expert who is going to run a little bit of a workshop on plant-based cooking. People who participate in the workshop then get to dine in the restaurant and eat what they have what's been made. Bina from Greenbridge is going to be running quite an intense hands-on workshop around developing edible gardens in a permaculture setup. Details of these events will be on our website.
Yeah, the website does look a little bit different, and we are evolving the trails into Taranaki Trails. The website is still sustainablebackyards.co.nz because of course that's the name that everybody knows. For our listeners who are interested in getting involved or visiting the trails, what's obviously the website, how else can they find out or how else can they participate?
The social media is a great place to go. So the Facebook and our Instagram, as we release events, we confirm properties, those will each come out. So it's a great space to sort of have this feed of what's coming up and where to book.
So I think we'll be sending out locations where you can purchase your bundle cards. So that's pretty much like a stamp that'll have any gardens.
$12 and you get 5 properties. So essentially you get 1 entry for free.
Keep checking our website, keep checking our socials. So obviously the Backyard Stage socials, but as well as Sustainable Taranaki and some of our community pages. There's going to be lots of information coming through.
Kia ora.